Welcome to the Manufacturing Matrix. My name is Craig Scott. I am the founder and CEO of Fuuz, the manufacturing platform. And today I am joined with Steve Modrell. He's our EVP of Sales. And I'm just wondering, did you take the red pill or the blue pill?
Today, a red pill.
Ah, very
Yes.
nice. Okay. So anyway, if anybody hasn't actually seen The Matrix, they will have no idea what we're talking about.
That's right.
I found out this weekend my wife has never watched The Matrix.
Oh, wow.
Yes. So very concerned. I don't know how she's been following up with all of my podcasts. I know she's an avid listener.
Right.
But we'll see. So I'll have to get her through those. So today, I thought bringing you on, Steve, would be an interesting topic around IT and OT convergence. So this won't be like some of the conversations we've heard and seen online where they get really technical.
Right.
This is going to be more about what we see within our industry with our prospective clients, the kind of different agendas, I'll say, between IT and OT. And oftentimes, and I'll let you talk a little bit more about this,
Sure.
what you see on your end from a sales perspective, because you're dealing directly with the decision makers, right?
Right.
And the folks that, do the initial reach out and contact us. And I think a lot of times you're dealing with more on the IT side, where me and the rest of the team, once we get into deployment,
Right.
we're working with OT.
Yep.
And then it does create some tensions. We'll get into that. But, just maybe talk a little bit about that process, that pre-sales process, and what does that typically look like? Who are the typical players that you're engaging with? And why are they coming to Fuuz? Why are they engaging with you and the pre-sales team to begin with? And generalize, because I know there's a lot of different reasons.
Yeah, I mean, if we take a look at some of our typical questions we get asked or why we're engaged, there's usually a challenge that the company's facing that the current software portfolio they have today can't address very well. And it's a combination of things. They're expecting more out of their ERP system. And a lot of times the ERP systems, as we know, aren't designed to go down to the shop floor levels and collect all that information. At the same time, they're trying to get visibility to the shop floor and really get an understanding of their processes, how the equipment's running, what's the OEE factors look like on the floor for today, and how are they operating. And to your point, it's interesting because there's really two distinct camps between the two, between IT and OT. And I kind of use the analogy, and you've probably heard me say it around the office a lot, but it's where the carpet is going forward into the offices. That's the IT side, and the OT is the concrete and everything happening on the shop floor. And it's, traditionally and historically, I've always seen even the infrastructures have been different amongst those groups. And now there's this convergence coming along where people are realizing they need to kind of figure out how to make this work together. And, primarily we get called in usually by folks from IT, whether it be a CIO or VP of IT. And historically that role is reported up to like a CFO. And obviously that's a good from a sales standpoint because they've got control of budget and able to allocate resources rather quickly and easily. But they don't quite understand the complexities and what's happening on the floor with the equipment, trying to get PLC connectivity, OEE factors. And, we look at it from a holistic as to the problems that they're trying to solve. But a lot of times they can't tell us the specific details because it's really more of an operational type approach.
Yeah.
So it's been a challenge at times to try to get those two groups together, because they kind of operate separately and independently, but they're starting, the trend more and more that I see is that they're starting to realize that the data coming from both is what they truly need in order to make the right decisions.
Yeah. Okay. No, that makes sense. And what I think I see, because I work pretty closely with both sales and implementation, and, I see a lot of times that the IT side of the house is driving a lot of this that's coming top down. The CFO, as you mentioned, they have this ERP system. They want to get more real-time data.
Right.
So the IT group, because their IT is tasked with, go out and find us a bolt-on
Right.
for our ERP system that's going to, enable us to get more data.
Right.
And the challenge is that finance and IT, they live on the carpet.
Yep.
They don't have a full understanding of what's happening on the shop floor the way the OT guys do. And it's not too often that you'll get the VP of manufacturing or, COO in the mix. Sometimes we do.
Right.
And I think that makes a huge difference for
Completely.
us when we're talking about things, because it really resonates with them. And I think there's been a lot of times over the years where OT and IT, there's a place where it mixes, and it's at the MES.
Right.
That's where it comes together. That's unfortunately where we kind of thrive. But there's a reason why I think the number is fewer than 10% of manufacturers have digital manufacturing system.
Right.
So less than 10% actually have an MES system, and because IT and OT can't agree
Right.
on what the requirements are, what the landscape looks like, right? So I think that's an advantage for Fuuz because of the nature of the platform and the extensibility. But the real part of the conversation here is how can we help prospects who are in this situation? On one hand, I've got the OT guys that we work with on implementation that are, I think they feel like they've been handed or directed that they're going to use this product.
Right.
Right. So there's already that little bone of contention there.
Yeah.
The IT side is looking for something out of the box.
Yep.
Right.
Make their life easy.
Yeah. Make the life easy. It's got to bolt onto our ERP system.
Exactly.
We want all of our data in our ERP because they're still thinking the ERP rules the roost.
Correct.
And OT is saying that's not. What are you guys talking about?
Right.
Right. So we get into implementation, and it becomes very difficult because I think probably what's missing there is some change management, probably some ownership of the project that understands what both sides are looking for that can help drive. So you just get headbutting.
You get a lot of headbutting, but I think one of the things that we've been experiencing, and it's been working in the cases that we've been having these discussions, is focus them on what the end state is. What do they want to get to? And then who does that impact? By doing that, that's where you can usually get the folks that are a little resistant to bring the other side of the camp in earlier so that we can educate them on what our capabilities are. Why is IT looking at us, or why is OT looking at us for this problem they're trying to solve? When we start unpacking it, if we can get them to focus on the end state and who that would impact and what does that mean to the business, I think it opens the doors more for them to come together and work collectively versus just being an IT project or just being something that the floor is working on. And
some proof of concept
exactly
thing, right? We see a lot of these, a lot of the OT side of the house is, razor thin budgets, especially when it comes to technology and software. And a lot of these manufacturers are operating on equipment that belongs in a museum.
Right.
It doesn't have controls. And so the operations guys are like, whatever we can cobble together, we'll write some code, we'll use Excel, we'll download Ignition, like whatever's free, whatever I can get my hands on. And so IT is like, no. Like we can't do that. Their IT is looking at it more from the
future-proofing,
future-proof, scalability, reliability. OT is more about the problem solving, and getting the job done. And I think to your point, who's the customer, right? When you're looking at evaluating an MES system, the IT is not the customer. The CFO is not the customer. The COO is not the customer. The way personally, I feel like the guy that's running the press on the floor is the customer. The operator on the floor, boots on the ground, that's the person's life that we're trying to improve and enhance.
Right.
And by solving his problem, you inherently solve the business problems.
Correct.
And I think that's missing. I think people lack that, and the folks within the business that are the closest to the guy on the shop floor are the OT people.
Right.
So I think there's we see this a lot when we're doing demos and we're doing, plant tours and all this kind of stuff. Usually we're walking around with the main application guy, the ERP guy.
Right.
maybe someone from procurement or supply chain, but not often enough are we seeing the operations people, the manufacturer. They're
Right.
kind of there, and they'll point to some things, but it really seems like IT drives most of this process, and I feel like it's a little bit backwards.
No, you're spot on, and in fact, you've got to get both the operator level as well as the upper management level to come together. And it's kind of hokey, but Fuuz brings IT, OT together. Fuuz is the scenario.
There we go.
But if you look at it from, we're going to solve problems for the operator when we're in and we're deployed, and ultimately, it's going to roll up to the business owners that those problems being solved are going to be more profitability, reduce costs, reduce risks. But it's, to your point, they don't always understand that. And we can't just go in and go call on the operator level, because a lot of times, obviously, they don't have control of budget and everything. And to your point, we run into some resistance because we can't bring in, a lot of times new technology will not come into a company without IT's blessing, which I totally appreciate and understand, because security is a huge one today, especially.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So we started bringing these two camps together, focus them on the problems we're solving as well as the end result. So why did they call us to begin with? What was leading us up to? What are the symptoms of the problems? And then getting their buy-in on the end result. Again, what's the payback? What's the ROI? What are we really, at the end of the day, when they've got our system up and running, or whatever system, what took place? What problem did we solve for the business? And I think if you can get everyone off of the solution and focus on those two factors, the solution will support you and it'll bring the camps together. And that's, what I think makes us unique and special at Fuuz is our backgrounds. We can go to the shop floor. We can walk around with an operator and understand what their role is. All of our backgrounds with manufacturing as well as technology of just give us that capability to truly understand what problems they're trying to solve. We've been there. We've done that.
Yeah.
Our customers do it every day, and it's something we can articulate. We're not just here to sell your software. We're here to solve a problem. And if we can't solve the problem, we'll tell you that.
Yeah.
Or if we're not the right fit, we'll tell you that. And I think the credibility there is also what's helping us get into those scenarios and helping us with that bridging or fusing of the two camps.
I see what you did there. That was creative. I mean, it's really, so if I think about it this way, you've got, from a machinery perspective, right? No one in IT is getting involved in the purchase of or selection of which PLC brand you're going to buy.
Completely.
Right?
Yep.
That's all left to OT, and that's controlling the manufacturing process at a very low level.
Right.
And then MES is just one layer above that. It's also controlling the manufacturing process. So it's interesting,
Right.
But it's also where the two worlds meet. So I get why IT is in there. We talk with a lot of ERP vendors. We talk with a lot of ERP implementation and selection firms. While they have, I think, some cursory knowledge of manufacturing, they understand the difference between batch and discrete.
Right.
But to actually walk the shop floor and be able to spot or identify areas where the system is going to be able to enhance or improve the operations, it's non-existent for the most part.
Right.
That's where we come in, like you said, and we've got some partners that are really good at identifying that as well. But I think that's really key, is focusing on solving the end users problem. That's where, making widgets is where we make money.
Oh, absolutely. And I think if you look at even with some of the quality regulated industries we talk to, being able to go pull a recipe or process parameters off a machine, marrying it to like a lot number and serial number automatically, no one else does that.
Yeah.
I mean, it's usually a cobbled system that's going to have all kinds of vulnerabilities or be homegrown. And that's something that we can get them to with no problems.
Right. And time to value.
Right.
There, right. I think I would say time to value for a small point solution to address one problem is probably the quickest.
Yep.
But it's also the one that's fraught with the most risk long term.
you're band-aiding the
you're
problem.
band-aiding.
Yeah.
And then before you know it, that you've exhausted all the capabilities of that thing, and now you're bolting on something else, and now
Right.
you're just adding risk and complexity.
Tech debt. Yep.
Yeah. So I think, in general, kind of wrap it up, I think IT and OT, they converge at the MES layer. I think we all know that.
Right.
And the reason why there seems to be a lot of tension between the two groups is because they both have different needs.
Correct.
And most MES systems don't address either group very well.
Right.
Right. And I think that's also, like you said, that's one of the things that makes Fuuz different.
Yeah.
From an IT perspective, we have robust tools to integrate with other business systems.
Exactly.
Other MES systems don't. You have to bolt something on their
Third party.
Boomi or whatever. Right. And then on the OT side, they want to collect data from the machines. Most MES systems don't do that either. So now you're bolting something else on. So we're kind of this unique solution that really does check the boxes for both groups. And when we're given an opportunity to spend some time with, I think IT is easily sold, in our case, because they see the technology, they understand cloud, native, multi-tenant, that stuff all resonates with them. Sometimes the OT folks, though, we just need to get them engaged a little bit earlier on, right? Kind of educate them on what it is. We're not another IT tool that's being shoved down your throat.
Right.
We're really the bridge to make your business more efficient and connect the two groups.
Absolutely.
And just be better.
I would just say that if people are out there experiencing this situation today, call us. I mean, we're happy to come out and do a whiteboard session with both groups and see if it's a fit. And if it's not, we'll let them know. I mean, that's what I love best about this job is we're here to actually solve problems.
Yep.
And if we can't solve it, we're going to tell them that. And we'll point them to the direction of where we can help, maybe they can get help from someone else.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thanks, Steve. It was great. I think this is a topic of huge debate.
Yep.
Right now, and everybody, researchers, analysts, consulting firms are all kind of scrambling, trying to find the right solution to offer these manufacturers that are at this point where they're trying to fill this gap. And so I think we're uniquely positioned from that perspective with our technology to be able to do that. So it's fun to be able to compare the two sides of the business and how their needs differ. And hopefully we'll hear from some of these guys.
Absolutely. Looking forward to it.
Yeah, let's ignite innovation.
There we go.
Yeah, let's fuse it.